Hey, what's up, guys? This is a response to AR's video about motives. Well, there's one connection that Brian could have had to Xana and Maddie, and that was Mad Greek. You know, they both worked at the Mad Greek restaurant there in Moscow, and Brian was a vegan. I mean, he was such a bad vegan that he made I believe it was his aunt, throw out all of her pots and pans because meat was cooked in them, and made her buy new ones because he wouldn't eat anything out of pans that had meat in them. And yes, Emma Bailey was connected to the house. There was reports that she could have possibly sold drugs out of the house. And yeah, she could have known Brent Kopaka as well, because she did sign his book at his funeral. But if Kopaka was involved, was he Papa Rogers? And if he was Papa Rogers, who was Inside Looking? Because Inside Looking knew everything about the murders and everything, and even named Maddie and Xana as the targets. And if Kopaka was Papa Rogers, why was Kopaka shot and killed by a SWAT team there in Pullman, Washington? That just don't make no sense. And we haven't heard the 911 call on that incident the night that Kopaka was shot. We've seen bits and pieces of the body cam, but it doesn't show Kopaka even firing his gun at the officers like was stated. So the only real direct tie to the house was Emma. And touching on the DoorDash delivery, the Jack in the Box stated that somebody fitting Emma's description pulled through the drive-thru that night and ordered the Jack in the Box and delivered it to the house. And that's what a couple of the crew members told the FBI. So if that's the case, then she could have been possibly setting up that timeline for the DoorDash delivery, and the young adults could have been already dead, because just because there's cell phone calls to Jack D, that's not proof of life. Just because there's TikTok activity, it's not proof of life. Just because there's a DoorDash delivery, that's not proof of life. If you guys understand what I'm saying. This is an ever-changing timeline of the events. And why is Steve G so confident about the cast report? he thinks the cast report's gonna tie Brian to the house. Well, if there's no motive, then how can Brian do it if there's no motive? And that Brian Koberger Instagram account was created after Brian was already in custody. So there's somebody posing as Brian on Instagram, liking all the pictures of Maddie and responding to Maddie, hey, 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 over and over again, even though Brian was already in custody. So whoever was behind that fake Brian Koberger account, I would like to know. Because that Koberger account was created, I'd say about a day or two after Brian was arrested. And see, and here's the ironic part as well. The Papa Rogers account, it stopped the day Brian was arrested. So was was Brent Kopaka Papa Rogers, or was Brian Papa Rogers? And if Brian was Papa Rogers, who was inside looking? That's two pieces of the puzzle I would like to put together, and I would like my good friend A.R. Hayes to help me with that. So who was Papa Rogers and who was inside looking? Because if Papa Rogers was Brent Kopaka, it would have ended the day he was killed by the SWAT team. But Papa Rogers didn't go silent until the day Brian was arrested. And ironically, inside looking went silent the day Brent was killed. So what's going on in this case? Yeah, Ann Taylor stood up there and said that there was no connection to the victims from her client. With no connection means no motive. Good, but here's the thing I would like to ask my friend AR. Could there have been a slight connection at the Mad Greek restaurant, since Brian is a vegan? And even that, Enon Harsh is a vegan as well. So, could there have been a connection at the Mad Greek with Maddie and Xana? Say Brian was in there eating a vegan meal, and either Maddie or Xana delivered his food to him. Could that be a connection? Yeah, and don't get me started about Enon Harsh. I don't believe Enon was involved in this crime. He's just a weird dude. But yeah, without connection, there's no motive. But I'm not saying Brian did it, guys. Okay, I'm not saying Brian did it. But could there have been a slight connection at the restaurant that the girls worked at if Brian came in there? Like, not even nonchalant. Like, Xana or Maddie brings his food out to him, and that's the connection. Is one of the girls brought his food out to him? And if Brian was such a vicious and brutal killer who stalked his victims, then how come that one girl he went out on a date with, and who in effect rejected him after the first date. Wouldn't he have killed her too by rejecting him on their first date? See, that's where this everything don't make no sense. If he was a brutal killer, he would have killed that one girl that rejected him on the first date. They went on the first date, and that was the only date they went out on. Because she basically did everything to run him away because quote unquote she was creeped out by him because he made the comment she has good birthing hips, which I don't really think he would even say something like that. But I do believe that there's a connection somewhere, maybe through Emma, maybe through Brent, or even through the restaurant the girls worked at. I await your response, AR. My brother, y'all's have a good night.